The golden retriever had been doing it for 3 days before anyone paid attention. Not barking, not acting aggressive. Just positioning. Moving to be near a specific person in the house at specific times in a way that had no obvious explanation. The family noticed it, the way families notice most things, gradually, and then, all at once. It started on a Tuesday. By Friday, Retriever had abandoned his usual evening routine entirely. Where he normally would have been on his bed by 8, he was instead pressed against the wall beside the baby's room, his nose working the air with the slow, deliberate attention of someone reading a document in a language they know fluently. "He's being weird," said the father. "He's being weird about the baby," said the mother, which was more specific, but not yet specific enough. On Saturday night, she called her mother, who had owned dogs for 40 years, and whose advice on this subject was worth more than a vet appointment. "Does he seem anxious?" her mother asked. "Not anxious," she said. "Focused." There was a pause on the line. "Focused is different from anxious," her mother said. "Focused means he's paying attention to something. The question is what?" She stood in the doorway of the baby's room and watched Retriever for a long time. She thought about the danger of overlooking focused. On Sunday morning, she made 2 calls. The first was to the pediatrician. The second was to the emergency vet, because the dog had stopped eating, and she wanted to rule out that something was wrong with him. Nothing was wrong with him. Something was wrong with the baby. The pediatrician's office ran a panel. The nurse called back in the early afternoon with the voice that had shifted register, the shift that happens when the result changes the nature of the conversation. The diagnosis was something invisible to human senses. "How did you know to come in?" the doctor asked. She described the dog. The 3 days of focused attention. The abandonment of routines. The nose, working the air outside the baby's room. The doctor was quiet for a moment. Dogs can detect something invisible to human senses through scent compounds that shift before any human symptom presents, she said. "We don't fully understand the mechanism, but the behavior you're describing, that's consistent with documented alert behavior in dogs." The treatment plan was clear. The outcome, because they had come in early, was good. She went home and sat on the floor of the baby's room with the dog beside her. "You were trying to tell me," she said. He put his head on her knee. She thought about the word focused, about the difference between a dog being weird and a dog being focused, about how close she had come to sleeping through Saturday without making the call. "I'm listening now," she said. He already knew that. He had been waiting for it. The family processed it in stages. First, the immediate relief of knowing, of having information, where before there had been unease and explanation, and the particular discomfort of watching an animal do something unexplained. Second, the retrospective, the looking back through the days of behavior and reassigning meaning. This moment was not play, it was alert. This moment was not territorial, it was navigation. The rereading happened over dinner, over the drive home from the clinic, in the quiet of the nights that followed. Third, the question that did not have an answer, and that they found they did not need answered. How long had the retriever known, not known, detected, responded to, done the thing? The research existed. They found it in pieces. Over the following days, studies on canine olfactory detection of blood glucose, studies on animal alerting to seizure precursors, documented cases of dogs identifying respiratory changes, cardiac events, bacterial infections, all before human instruments registered anything wrong. The mechanism in each case was the same: chemical compounds that shift when physiology changes, compounds that exist in breath and skin, and the microscopic chemistry of a body doing something different than its normal operating state. A dog's nose contains roughly 300 million olfactory receptors. A human nose contains approximately 6 million. The math was simple. The implication was less simple. It meant the retriever had been living in a version of their home that was richer in information than the version they occupied, had been reading, in real time, a chemical record of everyone in the house, had been tracking changes in that record the way a careful person tracks changes in a patient's chart, had flagged the change, had acted on the flagging, had kept acting until someone paid attention. The father sat in the kitchen one evening the week after. The retriever was asleep in his usual place. The house was quiet. He thought about the word alert, about what it meant when applied to an animal rather than an instrument. Instruments beeped. Lights came on. Numbers changed on screens. This had been different. This had been a living thing making a decision about what the information required, and then executing the decision daily, without acknowledgement, without the guarantee that anyone would ever understand what it was doing. Just doing it. Just staying at the post. He looked at the retriever sleeping. He thought about what he owed this animal. Not gratitude exactly. Gratitude implied a transaction, and there had been no transaction. The retriever had not done this for gratitude, had done it because the biology of the house had changed, and the change required response. He thought about what he owed was more like attention, like the kind of watching that he had finally done. The 40 minutes or the night check, or the moment in the doorway when he had stopped explaining and started looking. He owed that consistently. He intended to give it. The retriever stirred in his sleep. His legs moved briefly, running in some dream version of the yard, some private accounting of the day's information. Then he was still again. The father sat with his coffee and the quiet house and the sleeping retriever, and thought about all the nights the animal had been awake while the family slept, all the nights the nose had been working. The information had been filed, the map of the household's health had been updated and reviewed.